When I started as an MP 6 years ago now, I think the government took in roughly $73 billion. Now it's $80 billion. And when we stood aside, and obviously this government won 3 years ago, there was decades of surpluses totaling over $19 billion in front of them. And as we sit here now, prior to the coronavirus, the government was assuming that this financial year they'd be in a deficit. Now we're heading into recession, potentially a couple of 3/4 of recession, to be formally a part of a recession, which is 2/4 of negative growth. That's now expected. I mean, what a remarkable transition to take an economy that was going that strong to the point which you're now in a recession. I'm just hugely disappointed that this government has seen fit to essentially waste money over the last 2 or 3 years, and we're not in a very strong position to be able to withstand what sits in front of us. And I think this election is going to be all about the economy. It's going to be all about how to have more money in your pockets. It's going to be all about infrastructure, and it'll be all about law and order. And on those 3 issues, I think National clearly bests the government. Personally, I think he's grown hugely in the role, and I've seen it and watched it, and I'm sure my colleagues have as well. I mean, no one starts, if you get a job on day one, you don't walk into the job on day one and you've mastered it. It's a job you grow into, and many people call Leader of the Opposition the hardest job there is. It's a credit to his resilience and effort and focus that, he is absolutely, in my view, growing strongly into the role to the point that he will be, in my opinion, the next Prime Minister of this country come September. I've come from a small business background, and the compliance costs, it's like walking through treacle if you're a small business owner in this country. You can't do anything. It costs too much to imagine to grow your business in terms of consents and compliance. We need to strip some of that away. Not totally, but we absolutely need to create the conditions for people to put their own capital at risk. We have huge numbers in this country who run the country because of their small business acumen and effort. They need to be supported, not basically constrained to the point that they give up, that it's all too hard. I think this government has been lackadaisical and lazy in terms of their lack of investment in this region. I think they've been profligate. I think they've been lazy, and at some times when you've looked at who's been who behind the various project advocates, there seems to be a lot of closeness between those who've supported New Zealand First in the past and those who seem to have been benefiting. But the public will hold their own view on the efficacy of the Provincial Growth Fund when you actually look back at the record of this, the National Party, particularly at the last government and the key English government. When we took over in the global financial crisis, 2 earthquakes, and how we rebuilt the country to the strength that it was when we handed over, and I referenced some of those key metrics before in terms of job growth, GDP growth. I think absolutely rural New Zealand could see an economy that was well run and well managed. Which team of people, because you're talking the top 20 who sit around a cabinet table, who has the strength of experience and judgment to be able to help us navigate through the next few years? And it's my very strong view that the National Party has that in spades over Labour, Green and New Zealand First, who can barely appear in the same room together without guffawing or sniggering or not wanting to stand beside each other. I mean, it is really quite something. No, because I think we'll win. I certainly am going to work very, very hard to make sure we win. And then, like I say, hopefully have a dream portfolio, which for me would be primary industries. I come from that background. My background's kiwi fruit. It would be great to have, I think, would be the first Minister of Primary Industries with a direct kiwi fruit background. It would be fantastic. But hey, don't want to get ahead of myself. We've got a huge amount of work to do here to take the debate to this community, get their support, and hopefully that is replicated across the country.